Today is February the 11th, 2021, in Jennings, Louisiana. My name is Ross Doucette, and I'm interviewing Miss Grace Dalton, born July 31st, 1933. She lives in Jennings. She is family, and she was part of the Korean War conflict. She she served in the Marine Corps, and her rank was sergeant. Now, Miss Grace, we're going to go with jogging your memory on this one. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, where were you drafted or did you enlist?
Enlisted, sir. At the time, women were not drafted or anything like that.
Where were you living at the time?
In Welsh.
In Welsh? Yes,
Right.
ma'am. Why did you join?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest. When I found out that I was going to have the same math teacher in my senior year, she didn't like me and I couldn't stand her. So I quit school
Yes, ma'am.
and got my GED in the Marine Corps. I could not stand her. That's the main reason. And then I did want to go because my oldest brother was Navy, the next child was in the Air Force, my sister was in the Marine Corps, and I decided that was a good life.
Yes, ma'am. Why did you pick that service branch you joined?
Well, I thought, since I was spoiled rotten, I thought it would be a good one to really get me, if I didn't get my way, I'd just stand there, not say a word. And then when Mom wasn't looking, I'd go get behind my stepdad, and he'd say, "Baby, what's the matter?" And I'd say, "Mom won't let me do this or do that." And I decided I was spoiled enough, it's time to go. Best choice I ever made.
Do you recall your first days in the service?
Yes, sir. I wrote you a little history deal. When we got to New Orleans, then we went by train to Camp Pendleton. My sister had graduated a couple of classes ahead of I. So when we got there, we had to sit on the floor, and I was sitting on the floor, and Sergeant Thornton was calling the roll, and I wouldn't answer. And so finally she came to me and she said, "What is your name?" She said, "Spell it." I spelled it for her, Logion. She said, "Did you have a sister or a family member come through here before you?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am, I did." She said, "Let me tell you something, and you remember it. You are Logan, Logan. And so that's what I was called the whole time. And then that after we were through, she said the next night we were going to have a party. Oh, we were all excited. We were going to have a party. You know what a GI party is? Scrubbing the floors.
Oh, yeah. That type of party.
Yeah, so we weren't too excited anymore. We had to put our fatigues on, and we marched to our supper. And then when we got back in, she gave us the brooms, the mops, the water, disinfectant, the wax, and all of this. And then after that, she inspected everything. But it was a good beginning, sir. Very good.
What did the service feel like while you were in?
It felt like a place that every child, student, when you graduate from high school, you should have to go in the military for at least 3 years. That's the feeling I always have and still have. Because then the children who, were kind of real rich or something thought they could do whatever they wanted. And it was a sad wake-up call for some of them.
Yes, ma'am.
But I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to do.
Tell me about your boot camp training and experiences from boot camp.
It was hard because in the summertime you had the sand fleas, the parasailing that were in your eyes, in your nose, that were all over.
Oh.
And you didn't dare pick up your hand when you were supposed to be standing at attention. And that was hard. And then I was one of the last ones to go in for chow. But when the first one that went in got through, we all had to go. A lot of times I had food stuffed in my mouth trying to chew.
Mm.
But it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful 3 years. It really was. It was hard, and we did get treated like the guys, and we had the platoon leader and the squad leader, and I got the squad leader award. And one of my best friends, Toppenberg, got the platoon, and I have the pictures. I was standing next to our drill instructor, Sergeant Bentz, and Toppenberg was standing next to Sergeant Thornton. And everybody looked and they said, "Oh yeah, they're good friends," and they both won both deals. Anyhow, it was great.
Well, do you remember your instructors? Did you have a favorite? Did you have a least favorite?
We had two, Sergeant Thornton and Sergeant Bentz, and I love both of them. And that's the only two that we had.
Yes, ma'am.
Our platoon leader and our drill instructor. And I thought they were both great.
How did you make it through basic training? Was there any type of special things that you did, or you just...
We just did what the guys do, same training and everything. And regulations for the women was just like the regulations for the guys. And sometimes you had to be tough-skinned. And sometimes, if you were kind of slumping, Sergeant Bentz would come and stick his finger in your back.
Ooh.
And he'd say, "Straighten up." But he didn't mean any harm. He was just helping us. And if I had to do over again, I would do it over. I would really do it over.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm still very much military. I'd rather live the military way than the regular, normal life, because I am disciplined now and everything.
Well, now we're going on segment 3. This is going to be about your experiences.
Uh-huh.
So, talking about the wars that you served in, the Korean Theater War, could you, where exactly did you go? Do you remember arriving, what it was like?
Camp Pendleton is where I went, and it was very interesting. We were out in the middle of nowhere, and then when I found out that I was going to go and support headquarters, I was ecstatic. I loved it, and then as additional duties, when a ship was leaving to go to Korea or coming back in, they would ask for volunteers. If they didn't get any, it was you, and you. Well, we had to go early in the morning into San Diego, and we stayed there all day until all the guys came off the ship. We were there taking care of the families. And it was a heartbreaking experience because they were hanging on the side of the ship for hours, but they couldn't get off, until everything had been cleared.
Yes, ma'am.
And then they'd almost knock you down trying to get to the families. And a lot of times we had our heads bumped because they got so excited and everything. But like I say, if I had to do it over, I would do it the exact same way.
Do you remember arriving at headquarters? What was that like?
It was real good. I was the only girl in the office for a long time, and we were in the old building and everything. And then they built a new building, and we were transferred into the new building. And we all kind of felt like we didn't want to leave our old place, but it was so nice once we did. But in the area we were in, there was no shower hall for the ladies, so we ate in the same dining room as the officers did. But it was always nice to be there.
Yes, ma'am.
It really was. And for about 2-3 months after I got out, I almost decided to go back in. And then I decided, no, I'm not going, because if they say I might have to go to recruiter school, then I've wasted my time.
What was your job or assignment there at
As a
headquarters?
clerk.
It was a clerk?
We would do all of the guys coming in. We had to go ahead and get all of the information on them, issue them all the supplies. You had to break down the rifles when they brought them back in, all of the equipment, just like, they had to do. And then we do all of the inventory control. And then I'm going to tell you this funny little thing. I don't know if I should. We were standing at the windows one time when I first started doing inventory and then working with the guys as they came in.
Yes.
My commanding officer there said, I was corporal at the time. He said, Corporal, he said, you will be in charge of the bastards. We were doing inventory, and I thought, he said, don't forget, you're doing what? I said, the bastard. So we're standing at the window. Here was Mr. Woodfin, here I was, and here was the other person. So when the guys started coming up, I just wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. So Mr. Woodfin said, Corporal, do you have a problem? I said, sir, and I leaned to it. I said, sir, I don't know how to tell a bastard from a non-bastard. He said, what? I said, I don't know if that guy had a mother. And he just turned red. He had 3 stains on his forehead, birthmarks, and they were purple.
Oh, wow.
Well, the guys started laughing and everything. And one guy hollered, he says, I'm a bastard. I said, that's not funny. He said, to us it is. So then every day that they were around, they'd come and drink coffee with us. And it was a blessing to see these guys. Some of them looked like they had been through, what.
The ringer.
Oh, God, it was horrible. Some of them, they'd be talking, someone would clap their hands or something. They would just jump, and tears would run down their face. But they were happy, they were alive.
Yes, ma'am.
And they were back with family.
Can you tell me about some of your most memorable experiences while you're at the headquarters?
Well, my most memorable experiences, I would say, was getting to know all of these people and be friends and be family. There was one little family who was there, and her husband had been retained in Korea for a while. And so we found out that he was coming home, but we didn't tell. And so one day, Mr. Whitfin called this lady and asked her if she could come and talk to us because we wanted to do something for the kids while their dad was gone. And so she said, sure. So he was late getting in and everything. And so she said, well, what are we going to do? So Mr. Whitfin said, then I was Sergeant. Mr. Whitfin said, Sergeant Logan is going to go outside and play with y'all. And so I said, well, sure, So we went behind the building and everything to be certain when the vehicle with him drove up that they wouldn't see it. So we were playing, I don't remember, it might have been kick the ball, I don't know. But all of a sudden, one of the kids turned around and hollered, I think my daddy's home. And I looked and I said, no, honey, your daddy's not home. And he did it again. I think my daddy's home. So here came, and he was lieutenant. Here came the lieutenant, and the little boy looked at me and he said, but ma'am, you lied. That is my dad. And I will never forget that poor little boy. He was so excited. Yeah, he said, and his dad said, I don't think you tell people they're lying. I said, so that's fine. I said, he kept saying he thought it was you, and I kept saying no, to give you time to get the position. And the little boy said, I'm going to hug your neck, and I'm sorry. I said, you're wrong. And we stayed friends. They would come by, and we'd go to lunch sometimes and everything. But to me, families coming home and reuniting were the most important thing at all. And to know some didn't come home was the most heartbreaking thing. That it just, and it still bothers me. It still bothers me a lot.
Yes.
Just.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
I got my uh, good conduct, and that was it, and my Korean War Medal. But I made 3 ranks in less than 3 years. So I always got meritorious promotions.
Uh, did you earn any ribbons while you were in boot camp?
No, they didn't.
Oh,
They didn't
okay.
give us any. They didn't give us anything, except some of them. They were told, but I guess being uh, with Sergeant Thornton, and she and I were good friends. This was my sister and everything. And some of them said, well, I guess they wish you could stay, but I'm sure they're glad we're gone. And I thought, yeah, some of you are they're glad to get rid of. Yes.
The next segment is segment 4. It's life.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Part of life where you were stationed. How did you stay in touch with your family?
By mail and on the payphone. We had a payphone, and I was on starboard side, and then port, and then the reception area for the squad day was in the middle. But you had to wait in line to use the phone, and so it got to where it was so hectic that you would start, say, today it would be A, tomorrow it would be B,
Oh.
C, D, and then there was a timer there.
Oh.
The duty clerk had to go ahead and check, and when it was over with, if they didn't want to hang up, she'd go and bloop.
Your time's up?
Uh-huh.
What was the food like while you were stationed there?
To me, it was good. It was okay. Some of them wouldn't eat it, and I told them, y'all just go hungry, And I liked it, but I think the ones who really didn't were the rich kids. We were very poor. We were tenant farmers, and we appreciated by the food we got.
Yes, ma'am.
And to me, it was fine.
Did you have any favorite foods that they made during the week, or?
When we had spaghetti and meat sauce, that was delicious. And then I'm a person, I love beans and rice and greens, so I was in hog's heaven. And to me, it really was. Now, the only thing I didn't like to eat was at breakfast, the eggs looked and tasted and smelled like the chicken had just laid them. They were not cooked well.
Mm.
It was horrible, because I like my eggs very, very well done. And they'd look at me and they'd say, she's not eating her eggs. She's not eating her eggs. And then one day I thought, well, I'm just going to shut them up. I said, the chicken is still cackling. And, just, it was good food, very nourishing, and you had plenty.
Yes, ma'am. While you were stationed where you were, the supplies there, was there a lot of supplies?
Yes, sir.
So
There were a lot of supplies. I was in the port where we issued uniforms and weapons and everything. There were oodles and gobs of anything and everything that you could ask for.
wow.
The trucks were all over the place, and it was just very well organized there. You never had to wait for anything. The day they said it would arrive, and the quantity and the quality was there for us and everything.
And this was in
Camp Pendleton,
Camp
51 to 54.
And was that San Diego?
No, we did temporary duties at San Diego.
Yes,
That's where the ships were leaving from. I was at Camp Pendleton, just outside of Oceanside, California.
Oh, okay. Oceanside, California. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that I still remember and always will, they were going to have a mock bomb dropping at night, so they had dug the foxholes. And so when it was dark, they started having to shove in the foxholes. And this young guy had just gotten out of basic training, jumped in, and he was yelling and screaming and crying. And they told him, said, you have to stop that. Said, because you're going to give away our position. He had jumped in to a whole slew, I don't know how many beds of rattlesnakes. They were eating him alive.
Goodness.
And so the commander had to shoot him and kill him. And when we found out that next day he wasn't around, you know. And so when they started telling us, we just all just cried. And that is my worst days at Camp Pendleton or in the Marine Corps.
Mm.
They were just all over him. They couldn't even see him. And so they were going to drop the flour sacks, you know, that's what their equipment was for the bombings and everything. But it was terrible. It was terrible.
Yes, ma'am. Did you feel the pressure or stress from working there at Pendleton or
No.
even at Oceanside?
No.
Was there any no pressure or stress there?
No. Mm-mm. I mean, I love Mr. Woodfin. I love the people that I worked with. We had one lady, her husband was military, and she was the multi-level operator. It was like a copy machine, except you had to put gel deal and everything. And we all got on real well. And then I'd go skating every night.
Oh.
Oh, God, yes. I skated every night.
Hot dog.
And we just all, you know, back then the civilians accepted the military. They'd take you into their homes and everything and do that. Oh, no, I loved it. I really did.
Was there something special that you did for good luck? Or
Just pray to God. Just pray to God. There were some of them that really couldn't, you know, adjust to military life. And they'd come crying and everything, say, how can you be happy all the time? And I said, what do you mean? They said, we don't like it. Well, I said, well, maybe you can get out on a general discharge. Or if you can't get a general discharge, maybe you can get a dishonorable discharge. But I loved it.
yes, ma'am.
There was no stress for me at all. I was just glad that I was growing up, you know. Just the first time I came home, everybody told my mom, said, my Grace has changed. Mama said, well, I don't think so. She said, or they'd say, she's not this ball-biting brat she used to be. So the military is good, very, very good. I don't know about now, but it sure was good when I was in.
Yes, ma'am. How did people entertain themselves? Or were there entertainers that entertained
Oh, yeah,
them?
we had the USO that would come up the hill in front of our barracks, and they'd have dances for us, they'd have parties, and they'd have movies, and there were all kinds of things there. And there was always plenty of refreshments and everything. And if someone was late that usually would go to the movies, the operator of the movie would say, wait just a minute, so-and-so's not here now. We all wore name tags so we could all make friends. And, oh no, it was great. And I'll tell anybody it was great. Just...
Was there any entertainers who came? Any celebrities?
Yeah, but it was all the older ones, and I really can't remember them. There was Danny Kaye, and I don't remember, singers and dancers and comedians and all of that stuff. But that's been since 54.
Yes, ma'am.
That's been 53 years. 53 years. And we didn't get to meet them, you know. There'd be a certain section here or a certain section here. And when you're here, you're still a part of this one, but you get to ask the questions. Now then, after a certain amount of minutes, you changed persons so everybody would get to meet all of the entertainers there. But yeah, I went into Oceanside every night skating.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
bus would pass right behind our barracks, and then coming in, it would drop us right behind the barracks. But anyone who didn't enjoy the military, there was something wrong with them. They were either lazy, spoiled, rotten, or just too stupid to know that this is going to help you grow and everything.
Yes, ma'am. One moment.
Sure. You told them. You told them.
Where did you travel while you were in the service?
I went to not all military deal. I went to Mexico. I went to Canada. I wanted to go to Alaska, but it was so cold that I decided not to. And then when I was on the East Coast, I went to New York. I went all over, things that I might not have done had I not been in the military. Yes.
Do you recall any particular humorous or unusual events that may have happened while you were in the service?
Let me think here. Oh, I like to sell chances on things, and so I was in the baseball rodeo queen because of the fact that we had grown up on the ranch and everything. It's a small ranch, and Dad had different locations and everything. And so Mr. Whitman called me, and then I was a sergeant. And he said, "Sergeant, get over here." I thought, oh my God, he's never talked to me that way before. And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "We nominated you to run for the rodeo queen." And he said, "There's another girl." And I said, "Mr. Woodward," I said, "are y'all okay?" He said, "Well, yes, we're okay." And I said, "Well, maybe y'all need to think again." And so when it all started, it was, just, I'll do it, but I don't want to, but I did. Well, when we're coming out into the parade, I waved took my hat off, and so that knocked points off, and the girl beat me, but we were good friends. We were good friends. And to me, I thought, my God, this is ridiculous. All these people, these women here on this base. And that was a memory that I often think about. How in the world did I get chosen to even run? And I have the picture of when they asked me to sell chances for the children and everything. I had my own driver. It was a big, big truck with the car on it.
Oh.
And so my driver picked me up, and he'd always put me on the side of the bed, and I had my legs crossed, very carefully tucked my skirt down.
Yes, ma'am.
And everything. And then when we got through selling chances for the car, Mr. Whitman said, "Well, how did she do?" And my driver said, "She didn't sell very many chances." Mr. Whitman said, "I cannot believe this." When they counted the money, back then, $10,000 was a big, big sale for a car. And that, to me, was exciting. And you can ask your mom and dad. I sell here when you have chances being sold. These are all things that remind me of the life that I lived before. And
Yes,
I
ma'am.
loved it.
Was there any pranks that used to play on others?
Any what?
Any pranks they used to play
God.
on?
Yes, on each other. We had a big dumpster in front as you went out of the gates.
Yes.
And so Barbara Quirk, she was from California. She was a little short, fat girl. And we would just sit there and watch the people go by. And so one day she went in the barracks, and she couldn't find me. I had a picture, and I still have it, of me climbing in the dumpster. I have the picture. I had on gray pants and a gold-colored shirt, and Barbara kept hollering, Grace, Grace, where are you? I can't find you. I wouldn't answer. So finally, she was going in the barracks, and she was hollering, Grace is missing, Grace is missing. Well, I decided it's time to come out of the dumpster before they started searching for me. And we did things like that, and a lot of times we'd short sheet each other's bed, and we'd go in the wrong squad bay acting like and I didn't drink. We'd act like we were drunk, and they'd say, who is she? Is she a new girl here? And then when they got to where they were getting kind of worried, one of the girls knew that I was from starboard side. She said, no, she's one of the rich ones, got in on starboard side. That was supposed to be the nicest side of the ships.
Oh.
And I said, let me check my paycheck. Let me check my bank account. And I said, honey, did you steal all my money? Because I don't have the money it takes to be a rich kid. Oh, yeah, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. Just, and when someone's parents came, we all were so excited to meet them and everything. And they were nice to ours, and we were nice to them. And it was really like living at home.
Yes, ma'am.
Except you shared a squad bay. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. We were 16 people in the squad bay. You had double bunks. But to me, it was like living at home.
When you spoke of photographs, is there any favorite photographs that you still have, or?
Oh yeah, I have a bunch of them. I'll go ahead and dig them out.
Yes, ma'am.
And everything. Oh yeah, I had a bunch of them. I served in a couple of weddings, and just different things that we did, you know. And I don't remember if I still have the ones of me skating. Do you know Glenn McFarland?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I brought my skates home in my skate box. So I decided now is the time to do things, to get rid of these things. Excuse me. So I called Gail and I asked her, and she said, oh, that would be wonderful. I still had them. They were in tip-top shape. And she brought them to her granddaughter. And I think I still have the pictures from my skate box and everything.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. But, I have to be honest, why I quit skating. I was in Welch. They had a portable skating rink.
Yes.
So one night they needed a floor bouncer. So Elsie Howard said, the owner, she and her husband said, well, Grace can do it. Okay. So Grace did it. Do you know where Elsie Howard lives? On 102 coming here, that big, big brick home that sits back off.
It has the barn, the
Yeah.
pole barn on the right?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So. Okay. Her dad and my great uncle were brothers. She was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, we were cleaning off the floor, making the kids get off. And there were a couple of guys that wouldn't get off. So I went, and I forgot I had put my new skates on. I slid into them on purpose. My wheels locked, and I was going towards the fence. I put my hands down, broke this arm like this, and this one like this. Both of them went up.
God.
And so Mom said, Grace, I wished you wouldn't skate anymore. So then I thought it's time to,
Give it up.
it was time to give it up.
Yes, ma'am.
But I still have a bunch of pictures. I will go through my closet
Sure.
in the hall and everything.
Well, Miss Grace,
You
talking.
can call me Grace, please. We're family.
Grace, what did you think of the officers or your fellow soldiers that you served with?
Fantastic. Even the officers were nice to us. They were nice to everybody. They didn't have one that they,
Favored
no,
or
no. And all of the employees, if one didn't show up for work, we worried and we worried and we worried until they told us, well, he took a day of leave or something like that. You always looked out for each other. Now, there was one girl in my squad bay, Gloria Swanson. She was not the movie star. She went out on a date on a Saturday night, didn't come back. She was killed in a car wreck.
oh wow.
She was barely 20 years old. Now, that was very, very heartbreaking and everything. But everybody, when they let us know what happened, there were pro groups that got together and everything, and
You did what you could do.
yes, it's hard to lose someone that you're that close in your work and your life, to know that one has been, even if it wasn't service connected,
Mm-hmm.
that person's life was extinguished. And that's like losing part of yourself. Yes. I still don't do very well with funerals. It takes everything I've got and to keep swallowing so I don't cry. And I think age has something to do with it,
Mm-hmm.
And I have no fear of dying, but it's to know that another part of my body is gone. My eyes will miss, my mouth, my heart,
Mm-hmm.
and everything.
Grace, did you keep a diary while you were in the service?
Oh, no. The reason you didn't, you were scared to death that when you were not there, they would go through, and there was nothing hiding in your diary. But the thing was, when they were able to sneak a diary, they'd go around and show it to everybody. So that was added points to them.
Mm.
And I had started one, and then I thought, I don't think so. And my sister had been the secretary to Captain Doucette before I went to Camp Pendleton. My sister and I shared a belt for a while, upper and lower. And Captain Doucette, when I went, she told my sister, she said, call your little sister in here. So I went in, and so she and I were talking, and she said, what do you do for a pastime? And I told her, I said, used to I'd ride horseback and help my dad and everything. And I said, now it is so far to go into Oceanside. She said, oh, the bus passes right behind here, or right every night, picking you up to go into Oceanside. I said, well, I like to skate. And so she said, let me give you a warning. If you have a diary, don't leave it here. I said, why, Captain Doucette? She said, well, it's a feather in the other's hat if they can steal your diary and show it around. So I took mine, and I just tore it all to pieces and put it in the trash bin that I climbed in. But what people won't do,
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
I wouldn't think of doing anything like that.
I don't know why.
It was just safe. They got careless. They left it where we could find it.
I got something on you.
Right. And we're going to make certain that we let everybody know so they can't say it's not true. And so the question was, is that why you pass it all around? They said, oh, yeah, but there's a lot of funny things in there to laugh about. So needless to say, I never did have another diary. I shredded it and never got one, another one. But, yeah, like I said, I'm going to go through my closet. Right now, my house is such a mess. I got hit by both hurricanes, and it leaked in my kitchen, and they didn't get my roof put on. It leaked in my bedroom. So now they're going to have to tear up the ceiling and everything in my kitchen and in my bedroom. So I've been moving things out and everything, trying to get it moved for when they finally decide to come. But they're all supposed to be in the same closet. Yes. And there are pictures of my dad working cattle. that Mom sent. I had a horse, my own horse. You won't believe this. The horse's name was Red Man. So one year I was riding in the parade in Lake Charles, and so Bob Bill Elliott saw the horse, and so they wanted to know whose horse it was, and they told him it was mine, and my stepdad was Sidney Marcantel. So he said, "Oh, I know Mr. Marcantel." He said, "He's always here at the rodeos." And so he asked my stepdad, he said, "Is that horse for sale?" "No, that horse isn't for sale. That's my daughter's horse." Well, when we no longer had any use for Red Man, Dad went ahead and sold it to Bob Bill Elliott, and Dad went with them while they transferred the horse and everything, and they stayed good friends. And so Dad told Mr. Elliott, "If ever you want to sell that horse, we want to buy it back, Grace." Bought the horse back. He was in a rodeo in, I don't remember if it was in Lake Charles or Houston, cutting, and they'd cut without a bridle on him. The horse dropped dead in the arena, a heart attack.
Wow.
So we have the pictures of Red Man and everything. I have so many memories and things of my life, but I still have number one is the Marine Corps.
Yes, ma'am.
The Marine Corps. Well, military. I mean, I can't hold it against your mom and dad because they're fly boy and fly girl. I'd have to hold it against my son.
Right.
So you can't do that.
You can't. No,
No,
ma'am.
No. You, you have to realize that not everybody can be a jarhead. Yes.
Well, Grace, we're moving on to section 5,
Yes.
and
I'm
this
sorry I
is.
took so long.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. This is life after service.
Uh-huh.
So, do you recall the day your service ended?
July the 3rd, 1954. I moved back to Wells, Louisiana, lived with my parents and everything. I was going to go to McNeese and become a registered nurse. When they took me on a tour of some of the duties of a registered nurse, I heard people throwing up, I saw blood, and I turned around and I said, "This isn't for me." So I went to work and worked for about a year, I guess. And I met my husband in Lake Charles. And after a year, we got married. And then 20 months later, I had our child. But I went to 1 year of business school for a CPA work type deal. And then being a mom and a student and all of it, it was just too much. So then we moved to Dallas, and then we came home again. Then we got transferred back to Dallas. We lived in Irving, and then we were there, I guess, about 14 years. Yeah, because Leach had turned 15, and our marriage was not going well. And so I let him know that I was going to leave, and one night he pulled the gun on me. He was drunk. He was a good guy. He didn't drink when we got married or anything, but his brother. And we had 3 grocery stores, 1 supermarket, and 2 drive-ins, and 1 barbecue place. And I decided this wasn't for me. So I came home divorced. I went to work for Wizard Fast Stop stores. And then I decided after about, I don't remember how many years, that I wanted to go to work civil service. So I went to work Social Security, worked 7.5 years, and had to take disability retirement. And then retired in 85, and I hate it. I don't like it. And thank God we have the VA home here.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God we have the American Legion here, because that is my pastime.
Yes, ma'am.
That is my pastime. I'm still very military.
It's very passionate. It's,
Very.
and it's
Everybody says, "Grace, are you crazy?" And I said, "Well, maybe you are." And then online, I'll say, I've got papers to prove that I'm mentally fit, or you. And they say, oh, we're sorry. And then I start laughing. I'll say, no. I said, that's not true. And so they said, well, we sure couldn't tell it if you were. No,
Do
I
you
still would rather be military than be civilian.
do you still have close relationships from that life?
No, finally, everybody, a lot of them have died off. And we stayed friends for years and everything. And then it got to where when you didn't hear from anyone, someone would accidentally send a little response, return to sender, no longer
Mm-hmm.
living. But it wasn't a good deal to
Yes.
stay friends. It really wasn't, because you miss them entirely too much.
Mm-hmm.
You miss them entirely too much. I was a Brownie troop leader on Camp Pendleton and everything. And I made so many good friends through the families and through the kids. But it was time to end the staying in touch. Just when you get older, you miss people a lot more and everything. They're part of you.
Yes.
And I have no fear of dying. When God wants me, I'm ready to go. But it's the idea of turning loose of someone that is the hard part. And you just can't do it and stay in a good frame of mind. And like I say, I would not want to start needing any of them again until I get in heaven. Because we had some wonderful relationships. We really did. If Susie Q was down, we all gathered around. And if Jim or Jack or John, we did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now people don't do that anymore.
Not as much.
No, not nearly as much.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that girl from Lake Arthur that's 27 years old, dying of cancer. I was telling your parents about it. I have worried, and I don't even know the girl. But 27 years old, she had a double mastectomy. It started spreading, and finally it went to her brain. So she quit all of her treatments. I don't know her, but yet.
You feel heart goes out to her.
Oh yeah, oh God, and the family, Sometimes relationships and friendships are hard.
Grace, building on that passion for life and your love for the military, what veteran organizations do you are you a part of?
American Legion.
American Legion.
Yep, that's the only thing. They want me to join the DAV, but I don't know. There's a lot of squabbling. Oh, and then I'm on the ancillary committee for the veterans home. And when it's not COVID, believe me, I spend a lot of times at the VA home. I've been in the American Legion 38 or 39 years. And I don't have time for a lot of people who aren't military, because most of them have family. But I want my time to be spent for our veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll help anybody. But veterans come first in my life. Veterans come first.
Grace, on this is now we're getting into the later years and also our closing. This will be the segment 6. What did you do as a career after the war? How about this? Was there any of your military experience that influenced the way you think and act today?
Yes. It reminds me that I was a spoiled brat. The military showed me that I wasn't that important to the world. And now I feel that I treat people so much kinder and just more helpful to them. And it's a part of me that if I had not gone into the military, I probably would have been a spoiled, rotten brat all of my life. But I learned, and it was my stepdad's fault, and I loved him. He was a wonderful stepdad. But when he'd see that I was unhappy, he'd always tell Mom, "What did you tell her?" Mom would say, "I said no." "Oh, Mom, she's just a baby." And here I was, 16, 17. But yeah, it was, besides my loved ones, my family and everything, the Marine Corps is the best thing that ever happened to me, the military.
Building off the American Legion, what some of the activities that you do within that organization?
The American Legion,
Yes, ma'am.
I try to go to many meetings. Of course, I've had to skip. And I'm the sergeant at arms for the department. And I am 7th District Color Bearer. And I've been the color bearer for the department. And I'm the chaplain here in our deal. And that's about it.
Aren't you on the honor guard as well?
Yes, in the honor guard, yes. That's how I really met your mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yes, ma'am.
Did your dad tell you about the time that he tripped me at the cemetery?
Oh, he tripped you?
Yeah.
Ah.
He was walking ahead of us, and he went down to the sidewalk, and so I'm still walking behind him, and others walking behind, and I stepped, and I hit water and oil. He didn't trip me. I fell. He tried to catch my hand. I still have a knot. I have an indentation in my bone. So I tell people that your dad tripped me. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good. He felt bad about it. He was reaching to get my hand, and they came to pick me up. And I said, "No, leave me alone," because I was I'm goofy, but I was more goofy. And so I was dizzy, and I said, "Just leave me alone for a while." And so they said, "Well, we think you need to go and be checked." I said, "No, I'm going to be okay." So finally I decided, no, I'm not going to be okay. So I went to the clinic in Welch, and they checked and said I didn't have a brain concussion or anything like that. But I have never gotten over the headaches. Never. But your dad tripped me.
Grace, is there anything that you would like to tell the young men and women of America?
Yes, I would. When you go to school, you graduate, think about the life that you can acquire while you are in the military. Think of all the benefits there are when you're in the military. Think about the families, the loved ones of others. Even though you don't have anyone in the military, think of how fortunate you are to have the chance of serving your country and your fellow men. Choose the military. Even if you don't stay in for more than, say, 3 years, stay in, learn the way of life, the good way of life, and how you learn to do for others that you might not have thought of before then. Take a chance, go in for 3 years, and I guarantee you won't stay in.
Well, Grace, thank you for sharing these experiences with us. We all know that life is precious and time is of the essence, but times like these are very special, and I like to appreciate that you've given your time so that I could fulfill this project.
Oh, it was my honor. It was my honor. Anybody who would want to sit and listen, I would go and I'd do speeches trying to get people invited and interested in the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Army, the Navy, the Coast Guard. You just hear the bad side from a lot of people, but you would really be fulfilled if and when you got out. You would think, gee whiz, and there are good benefits, you know. I don't use VA doctors. I still go to my private doctors, but you have all of this medical stuff that you can, sometimes it takes a while to get in, but there are so many benefits. And to me, the best one is to help take care of my brothers and sisters. And while they're gone, to help take care of their families, because it's a hard life in one way, but it is such a rewarding life that you don't remember that it's hard. And I've said everything I can think of.